The miniseries may be over, but the reign of Cobra is just beginning when Cobra Commander and Destro begin a new alliance that spells trouble for G.I. Joe, and we may get the hint at the beginnings of an intergalactic war. Stay tuned for our review of Cobra Commander number 5 from Image Comics and Skybound. See you in 3. Welcome back to Comical Opinions. This is our review of Cobra Commander number 5, the finale of the miniseries. Before we get started, let's take a minute to recap what happened in issue number 4. Cobra Commander was captured by the Dreadnoks, and he was tortured pretty brutally. And just when they were getting ready to kill him after getting all the information they could out of him, it turns out that Cobra Commander's handler, the man who was sent with him by Globulus, turned out to be Nemesis Enforcer. Nemesis Enforcer wipes out all the Dreadnoks, frees Cobra Commander, which gives him room to go down into the bunker that they have beneath the Dreadnoks headquarters, find a scientist who's secretly been working on unique and creative and potentially profitable ways to use energon energy. When Cobra Commander comes out of the bunker with the scientist, says we're going to take him with us and build the army that Globulus wants, Nemesis Enforcer tries to kill Cobra Commander with his secret orders from Globulus to take the energon information for himself. However, Cobra Commander has already anticipated the double cross, and he kills Nemesis Enforcer. That brings us to Cobra Commander number 5, where we jump forward in time a little bit to a certain amount of months or maybe even a year or so. We don't quite get the details. Famed arms dealer and head of Mars, Destro, is lamenting the fact that somebody is attacking all his arms manufacturing facilities all across the planet. And he's starting to pull out his hair, metaphorically speaking, since he's bald. And he's trying to figure out who's attacking him. His men bring one of the attackers that they've captured to Destro. They pull off the mask that they've put on his head to make sure he doesn't know where he's going, and it turns out to be the Dreadnought named Ripper, who has a message for him from Cobra Commander. The message says we have to meet because we have some things to discuss. Destro gathers his men on a helicopter, and they fly out to the coordinates contained on the message, and they're met by a hail of sniper fire that kills almost all of Destro's men except for maybe one other, and destroys his helicopter. Cobra Commander then steps forward into the street of this sort of quiet town that's in the middle of nowhere and says, I'm glad that you're here. We have things to discuss. Let me give you a tour. You won't mind if I kill all your men because they're not needed anyway. Plus, I don't trust you. It turns out the town where they're in, which could be Springfield if you're reading the main G.I. Joe American Hero series, but maybe not. There's a large research facility underneath the town. Cobra Commander shows him that they've been using the scientist that he got from the Dreadnoks and his knowledge of energon energy to do all kinds of things that are responsible for creating super advanced weaponry and technology that you can't get anywhere else on Earth. And by way of demonstration, what Cobra Commander does is he takes one of the bat soldiers that he stole from Destro, infuses it with energon energy, and basically creates an amped up, super destructive and super powerful bat, or bats I should say. And he says, this is what I can do for you, but I need access to your network. I need access to your materials and resources and people. Let's join up, form a team, and then we can take over the world. Secretly, Destro thinks Cobra Commander is crazy, but he decides to go along with it because there might be some profit in it, and hence Cobra is now a formal organization. So you can consider this series basically a sort of version of the origin story of Cobra. Elsewhere, the dead hull of Megatron, which was stored in the labs underneath Cobra Law, the one that Cobra Commander was working on before he was sent on this mission, comes to life. He busts out, creates a bunch of destruction in his wake, and then now Megatron is in the mix. Globulus isn't happy about that, and he says, I want Cobra Commander back here so I can torture him and squeeze out all the information I can. Pythona, you get in your ship, because now we see from the records that Cobra Commander has been hiding that this robot is not a man-made device but an alien from another planet, and they want to bring technology to my world, which is the exact opposite of who we are and what we do. You get on your ship, you find out where they come from, and you figure out how we're going to destroy them. And now we have the makings of a potential galactic war between Cybertron and Earth with competing forces. Let's switch over to the technical aspects, starting with the character work. This miniseries goes a very long way towards elevating Cobra Commander as a Class A threat. So if that was the goal, Williams Joshua Williamson, who is the writer, succeeded. Even though it's a slightly different or alternate version of the origin story of how Cobra as an organization and a terrorist threat came to be, it still pretty much works. It still pretty much fits along with the characters. And Cobra Commander is now projected as a crazy leader, but one who is both clever and capable and also lethal in the right circumstances. Let's switch gears to talk about the art, which is one of the two, I would say, mild down points of this issue or weak spots of the issue. Andrea Milana's art style gives the characters a distinctive look. The settings, and the backgrounds, and the costumes all look right. But the pencils and the inks are sketchy, and that's to put it kindly. You want a high caliber comic that looks like a high caliber comic. You don't quite get that feel. This feels more like an indie comic, which I think is, from a quality perspective, to the comic's detriment. It's not terrible art, but it won't blow you away. Let's switch over to pacing and structure. In terms of pacing, the issue moves very well. It's smooth, it makes sense. The scenes travel from one to the other and they follow a linear path, so you understand what's going on, even though everything is happening pretty quickly. And in terms of change and where the story ends up, if you think about where Cobra Commander started in the beginning of the miniseries and even in the beginning of this issue to where he ends up at the end of this issue, he travels quite a bit and is in a much different place than where he started. So that's a good thing. That said, the finale to get from A to B in this last issue jumps some pretty big shortcuts to kind of get there. And those shortcuts kind of leave you with these lingering questions that now, because it's finale, are not going to get answered. How long has Cobra Commander been out in the wild trying to build up a force sufficient enough to attack all the Mars facilities? How and when did Megatron wake up and escape Cobra Law? When and where did Cobra Commander capture all those Destro bats so they could use them for prototypes and testing? When and how did he build this big secret base underneath this town in the middle of nowhere? All this stuff just is glossed over. It just happens. And you don't see any context. You don't see any setup. You don't know anything about it. So there's a lot of shortcuts that get you from A to B. Now, they're not, you can sort of mentally fill in the blanks without feeling like you're missing a whole lot of information. You kind of get it. But it feels like to get from A to B, you had to shortchange big chunks of the story. And that's a bit of a bummer. Moving over to the section about themes, the obvious answer to that one is this issue is all about power. Who has it? How do they leverage it? What do they plan to do with it once they get it? And Cobra Commander is all about power. He wants power over the world. He wants to rule the world. So every move he makes is towards getting power from other people, leveraging the power that other people have, consolidating their power under his. So this entire issue is all about power and how it's used. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. This finale, more than any other issue in the series, is the one that feels most like it's interconnected to the greater Energon universe. You've got use of Energon power by way of bats, and it's using it as a foundation for the formation of Cobra with Destro. Megatron is now back in play, although he definitely gets shortchanged in this issue. Cobra Law forces are headed to Cybertron, and that's a strange new development that I'm kind of interested to see how that works out. And now the whole thing feels like it is moving in the direction you would expect for a G.I. Joe story, but heavily influenced by Transformers and Cybertronian tech and what have you. So it's really starting to feel like an interconnected universe, even if the developments are a little bit weird and unusual. Final thoughts. What do you think about Cobra Commander number 5? The character is now definitely elevated to a Class A villain, which is where in previously, if you think about the original cartoon, he was sort of more like a Weasley type of character. Here he's just sort of crazy, but crazy in a very dangerous way, which is, I would say, a definite improvement for the character. And the story now feels more heavily integrated to what's going on with the Transformers, which makes it feel like an interconnected Energon universe. So far on those aspects, Williamson sticks to landing. But there are certain shortcuts that are taken in this last issue to make a whole bunch of things happen very quickly. And that's a bit of a bummer. And then when you were also looking at the art, it's okay, but not great. Therefore, we're going to give Cobra Commander number 5 from Image Comics and Skybound a 7.8 out of 10. Let us know what you think. Did you enjoy the series? Do you like how it ended? If you've read the issue, or if you're still waiting to read the issue or not quite sure, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned through the outro for the next review.